All right, we're going to attempt this and see what happens. I'm not making any promises. This is the rawest of raw. Um, what you see is what you get. I'm going to put on headphones because I do hear a little bit of echo. Where'd my headphones go? Here we go. I have no idea if anyone's going to watch this, but I thought it would be good to capture for posterity's sake. Hello? Okay, let me mute that. So, welcome everybody. As I announced earlier, I got a button on my shirt. It's not sexy. It's not sexy. As I announced earlier today, we were going to start the Financial Freedom Radio podcast and a little bit higher quality production. Ray had been doing this for years, and he asked me to jump in to help him handle all the back end engineering stuff. So we're going to try it. We're going to see how it works. Again, I don't know what the quality of this is going to look like. I'll find out later, but I am recording it. So if the quality stinks, I'll just upload the recording. But the goal here is to try and do this live and interactively. I'm starting from a completely blank slate, so we'll see where it goes. I do have a tablet. Here, I'll just show you this real quick. I do have a tablet that I'm going to be setting up here to look to see if there are any Facebook comments or Facebook questions. I don't expect there to be because I don't expect anyone to watch this, but we're going to go. So what I'm looking at here, what you see on your screen is the management software that I'm going to be using to run the podcast. And this is software called vMix. I'm still in a trial mode. We get a 60-day trial of it. I think it's going to do what we want, and I think we're going to wind up buying it. But for now, I'm just that's why it says trial there in the top corner. But what this is going to let me do is this is going to let me have all the different elements that are going to make up the show available to me. And as you can see right now, I only have two elements. Down here, I have the desktop capture where I'm capturing what's going out to the desktop, and I've got my webcam. And that was the bare minimum I needed to put together to be able to show you guys how all of this works. So up here on the left, you have my preview window. This is what I see. This is the next thing to be displayed. This right over here on the right-hand side, this is what's actually being displayed. This is what's being captured, what's being edited. So if this is my preview and this is my output, if I click cut, we now cut over to what was over here, and then that goes over there. Over to this video. This video is now actually live, but it's also in the overlay. So I click this, then the overlay goes away. So I'm going to switch back to the desktop, and I can also do a fade. I can do a cube zoom. I can do all kinds of fancy stuff. Now you are. So everything I've said so far has been completely muted. I told you this was raw. So it is what it is. But basically, what the reason that was is because this webcam here, this little button right here, this toggles the automatic mixing. So basically, when the video is live, then my audio is live. When the video is sitting over here in the preview window, the audio is not live. So I need to turn that off. So now if I switch between this, my master output, I can see that there's actually audio going out. And when I do this, there's still audio going out. So everything seems to be working right now. If you missed what I was talking about, I apologize. I'm sure I'll go over it again. But like I said, this is the bare minimum I needed to get a show out to you guys. I am streaming to Facebook in the Financial Freedom Radio group. I'm also recording it. I plan on uploading this to YouTube. So our strategy is this. Our strategy is we're going to create a show a week. We're going to take that show. We're going to upload it to YouTube. We're going to take the audio from that show and we're going to upload it to uh, anchor.fm and make a podcast out of it. And then we're also going to take the audio and upload it to rev.com so that they can transcribe the show into a text file, which will then turn into a blog post. So if you go to financialfreedomradio.com and look at the blog, you'll see a list of all of our episodes, which will be links to the Facebook video, or excuse me, to the YouTube video. There will also be a link to the podcast episode, and there will also be a text transcription. So that's kind of the strategy that we're using. So it all starts here. So as I said before, I've got desktop capture coming in, what you actually see on my desktop, and my webcam right there. So that's the bare minimum. What I'm going to work on now is I'm going to work on actually getting what I started to do, and then I realized I needed to do this live. I do have a little Android tablet here, which I have yet to install Facebook on. I want to put Facebook on this, so I'm going to do this while we're chatting so that I can see if there are any comments or any questions. Since this is live on Facebook, if anyone does decide to watch this, they can comment on the video that's in the group, and I can see the comments and I can answer questions. So we'll let that go. All right, so that's basic housekeeping. The next thing I'm going to be working on is I'm going to be creating some lower thirds graphics. If you don't know what a lower thirds graphic is, let me show you real quick. One of the things I can do in vMix is I can add an input. Everything that you see on the screen, whether it's my desktop or my camera or audio or video intros or video outros, they're all inputs. So every time I need a new input, I click down here on this button to create a new input. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new title. And I'm going to look for a new title just so I can show you. That's not what I want. Let me do it this way because this is the way I know how to do it. So if I go here and click on a new title, these are all the different titles that are available to me. So just to show you as an example, this one right here, if I click that and I say the headline is going to be Steve Bailey, and we'll call it Production Engineer Financial Freedom Radio. Okay, so that's going to be that. So you can see right here, if I click on this once, it's going to go into the preview window. This is a lower third, and obviously that's too big, so I need to make that smaller. So let me edit that real quick. Okay, so this is a lower third. And one of the things that I can do, let me do this. Let me switch over to this. Let me cut to that video. Okay, so one of the things I can do with the lower third, let me turn off this, is I can actually overlay. Now it's going to be down there in the lower right hand corner because that's what I've got that overlay set to do. So I want to use overlay 2 to show it as a lower third. So I'm going to click overlay and I'm going to go to overlay number 2, and you can see overlay number 2 is a full screen. The duration, I'm going to set it to 0. 500 milliseconds basically means it's going to take a half a second to come in, to fade in, and it's going to stay on the screen until I click the button again. So if I do that and I click OK, now if I put the lower third into overlay number 2, it does that. And it's going to stay on the screen until I hit the button. And then it goes away. So that's what you're going to do with a lower third. So I'm going to create some lower thirds. In addition to what we have here, I'm going to create some lower thirds for our social media platform. Now we're going to be on 3 different social media platforms. For starters, who knows where we'll wind up, but we're going to be on Facebook, we're going to be on YouTube, we're going to be on Twitter. So that's what we're going to do. So I've got another tool that I use here loaded up called After Effects. And this is what I'm going to be doing most of my walkthrough right now. I'm checking to see if Facebook is installed. I'm going to be doing most of my walkthrough right now on After Effects, creating these lower thirds. So you can see right here, I have a YouTube video, I have a Twitter video, and I have a Facebook video. And this is the timeline of them and what they do. This entire timeline is the 30-second long timeline, but this little gray section right here shows where the videos end. They started out as 10. This is just a random thing I found on the internet, just looking for free social media lower thirds videos, and I found them, and they were 10 seconds long. Let me just check, make sure I've still got audio. Yeah, okay. And so they were 10 seconds long. I made them 15 seconds, but they basically do this. They come in and they do that. Now they're all laying over top of each other, so I need to position them. So let me take the YouTube one. Let's go to where they're at so I can see them. And I'm going to put the YouTube right there, and I'm going to shrink it up a little bit so it's not so big. Then I'm going to take the Facebook one. I want to put, or the Twitter one, I'll put over here. Make it a little bit smaller. I'll get the sizes right later, but I'm just doing this right now for okay. So I want them to be at the bottom of the screen. So they're going to do this. Let me click away. I'm going to come in. And that's going to be an overlay that we're going to use as a lower third to advertise the different platforms we're on. Now, they're all different sizes right now. If I click on each one of these and open it up, I can see the scale is 66:59. So let's make it 66. Let's make it 2/3. We'll make it this way, 66 that way. So we'll come here. We'll make this one 66. And then we'll make Facebook 66. All right, so now they're all basically the same size. So now I just got to get them on the screen at the same time. Click on the YouTube one and the Twitter one. Now I can get these to be the same height too. If I go to the position of each one, and this Y position, not the X position, but this Y position should be the same. So we'll make it 960 on all of them. 960. And then we'll make this one 960. And then we'll make this one 960. So now they're all the same height. And they're all going to transition in. Come in, do that. Okay, so that looks right. But now what I've got to do is I've got to change the text. So to do that, I'm going to go into each one of them. If I double click and I change this text, you can see right here, if I open this up, these little dots represent animations. And what they're doing is it's animating this little mask, this little yellow rectangle is going to hide them, and the text is going to come in that way. So all I'm animating is the movement of the text. What I want to do is I want to change the text. So I'll just click on the source text, change my text, and we'll call this, I'll just call this / financial, if I can spell. Okay. So that's the text I want to animate. Now, what I need to do is I need to animate the position. So this is animating the position. I want this to be closer to that. See how it pops? It does a little bounce there at the end. It goes right to there and then bounces back a little bit. So I need to change this position. So that's at 12. And that one is at 0. So I want to move this one back a little bit because I want it closer. So that's going to be -33. So I moved it back 33, so I want to move this one back 33. So I'll do 12 minus 33. So that should give me the same amount of bounce. So we'll do this, come in, do that, and it bounces. All right, now what I want it to do next is I want it to stay there. Let's see, it comes in at about 1 second. So I want that to hold. So I'm going to change this keyframe to a toggle hold, which basically means it's going to come in and it's going to stay there. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here, take this down to 15 seconds. All right, so this is another one I'm going to have to modify. So let's see, do I have to modify that? No, I don't. That's just a 10-second clip, but it needs to be 15 seconds or it won't last. So I need to find that. Let's see, is it here? Yeah. Social media assets, YouTube, EPS. So this is what I did before I came online with you guys. I changed the length of this composition. Maybe how do I change this? Let's see. That might be a setting under. Well, worst case scenario, here's what I'll do. I can just duplicate this. Because see, if I come over here, it goes away. So what I'll do is I'll just duplicate it. Because I'm lazy. So we'll duplicate that. And then we'll just move it down here like that. And if it goes past 15 seconds, it doesn't matter. The goal is to just, oh, it stays there. Okay. So there's some animation associated with that, which I don't want. So these little things right here, I need to not have happen. So I'm just going to delete those. On the second one, they're still there on the first one. See how it does this, and it pops in, and it goes over, and then it, okay, so the size is wrong. So the scale, so what's the final scale here? So if I click on here and I look at the final scale, the final scale is 25. So that this scale needs to be 25. And then that should make it stay steady. And it does. It's got the little boxes because it's selected. Let me move away from that. So if I do this, it'll stay. Okay, so that takes care of keeping the logo in place. It's not the best solution, but since I'm doing this once, I really don't care. But what I want to do is I want to have this bounce back out. So we're coming here, we're doing this, it's bouncing. And then at about 14 seconds, somewhere in here, I want it to do the opposite direction. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this keyframe and I'm going to hit this and make another keyframe right there. So that basically says I'm going to start doing something else. And then I'm going to take this keyframe, I'm going to hit Control-C to copy it. I'm going to go forward a little bit. I'm going to paste it right there. Then I'm going to take this keyframe and copy it. And I'm going to go out to here and do that. So now what should happen is it should stay. And then it's going to bounce and hide. And once it's bounced and it's hidden, I need the rectangle to do the same. So that goes away. See how it does that and that. So actually what I need to do is I need to look at these two together. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. So you can see this doesn't really happen at the end. So I need to take these and back these up a little bit. Let's say right about there. Because I need these to happen at the end. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to come here. I'm going to put it, let's say right about there. And I want to take that exact keyframe and I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to take this keyframe. And again, this is just for general placement. I'll get it perfect in a minute. Do that and then take that, copy that, and put that down here at the end. So let's see how that works. Okay, so that worked as far as scale, but there's something else missing. There's movement, and that is on the null. So the null is doing some stuff as well. So the null is doing some rotating and positioning. So this one's going to be a little bit trickier. So I'm wondering if there's a better way to do this, if I could just bounce this video backwards and play it backwards. Because that's really what I want to do. I want to keep this on the screen for a certain amount of time and then have it go back the other way. And then it does that. I also need to do, so there's a bunch of movement going on here. So um, let's take that. Let me log into Facebook real quick. Hopefully someone's finding this interesting. This right here this is turning out to be more involved than I thought it was going to be. I mean, I can do it. I just don't know how interesting you guys are going to find it. All right, let me go to here. I am not used to using Android Facebook, so you're going to have to bear with me. And there's no way I can send this to you so you can see what I'm doing. I don't think. All right, let me search for Financial Freedom Radio. Oh, there it is right there. Financial Freedom Radio. Does show that I'm live. I do see one comment. Oh, Andy. Happy New Year 2020 is going to be full of exciting outcomes. Yes, it is, Mr. Jackson. Thank you for watching. I don't know if you're still watching, but I appreciate you. Okay, so well, that just shows that somebody's watching. This tablet is very slow. So that's okay. I'm going to keep rolling here. All right, so now what I need to do is I need to duplicate these keyframes. So I know that this keyframe lines up with these two keyframes, I should say, line up with that one. So I'll go to the end and I'll paste those in. And then let's see where this one lines. So though that one lines up with those, so I'll take that and I'll line them up here. And then let's see, nothing lines up there. So here's what I have to do now. So let's start getting the timings right. All right, so this is at 0, and this one is over here. If you notice, it says it's at frame 15. So I need to take these frames, move them over here, and let's see, the end is 15 seconds, so I need to go back. Well, let me do this. Let me take just these frames. And let's go back. What I can do is I can do 1429 and I can do minus 15 frames. Why didn't that work? Minus 15. That should have worked. That's okay. I know it's 1424. 1420, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, so then I need to move these frames to there. And then that doesn't look right. That's 15 frames. 1429. Oh, I only did 29 minus 15. I'm going to need a calculator. 29 minus 15 is 14. All right, so it needs to go there. So line them up with that. That looks better. All right, now this frame is 5 frames behind that. So then I need to go back 5 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put this one right there. Okay, this one is at 1 minute. So this one needs to come back to 14, or 1 second, I should say. And I'll take these 2 frames and I will copy and paste them. Let's see, 14. Right there. This one looks like it's at 5 frames behind that. So we'll come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paste. Then this one is 10 behind that one. So we'll take this, come here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, paste. Based on the spacing, that's probably 5 frames. So let's take those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, paste. So that should give us that. Okay, now, if you notice, there's still a little bit of movement here because I need to lock these 2 frames into hold position so it doesn't move. So now it'll come in, it'll do its thing, it'll stay, and then when it's time to go, it will do that. So why did it go backwards? Let's see. All right, so I need to toggle these. Keyframe interpolation, not interpolation. I need to hold the whole keyframe, but I think that's the wrong direction. I haven't done a lot with After Effects in a while. Let me take a look. Well, you know what I can do? Hang on, let's do this. I'm going to save this as a temporary. I think I might have just found an easier way to do this. Let's call this temporary. I think if I play the video backwards, temp. Right, let's try this again. Let me open the original project file again. All right, so this is the original project file. So I'm going to create a new composition that is a 1080, and I'm going to put into this Facebook. Let's just start with Facebook so I don't have to go through this. So here's the face. No, that's not the one I want. I wanted number 1. Do that, do that, do that. Now, where did it go? Why did it go away? Let me take a look inside this project. Does it do something? If I select all of the keys and I hit U, it shows me all the keyframes. So there's nothing. Oh, I see why. Because Facebook user is not long enough. That's why it went away. So if I come here and close this, now it should stay through the duration. So now if I take this and I duplicate it and then flip the time, it should go backwards. Let's see. Edit, duplicate, and let's play it backwards. I don't remember how to do that. Yeah, you get to see that I don't know everything. Play After Effects backwards. Time reverse layer. Okay. So take this layer, time, time reverse. So if I did that right, I should be able to do this. Let me make this a little bit, drag it up against the end here. So that was much easier rather than have to duplicate all those layers. So what I did was I just took this and I duplicated it. But before I do that, I need to get the positioning right again. So if I remember correctly, this was at um, 960 and the scale was 66. And then I move it over, oops, then I move it over this way. And then I did have to go into this, change this to read / financial freedom radio. And then I had to adjust the positioning so that this end state was back tightened up a little bit. 45. So this was so I need to take 45 off of this one. So minus 45. So it gets a little baby bounce and not a lot of bounce. Okay, so that's good. So now that that's right, now I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to select the second one. I'm going to do layer, time, time reverse, drag it so it ends at 15 seconds. And then that should give me this. Let me do this so that it doesn't overlap because it seems like there might have been some issues there. Do that. Goes back and then disappears. Okay, so that looks good. So now let's do that for the next one. So we're going to go to YouTube. We'll put YouTube on here. We'll adjust the scale on this one to 66. We'll make the position 960. And then we'll move it to the right. Just a touch. Okay, so that looks good. Now we're going to edit this one. We're going to change the text. Oops, did the wrong thing. This is going to be / financial freedom radio. We're going to take this one. And again, I'm going to look at the keyframes. So the ending keyframe here is 0. I'm going to back that up just a little bit. So I moved it back 30, so I need to take this one and move it back 30. So do that minus 30. And then that gives me just a tiny bit of bounce. Okay, so that looks good. Close that. Duplicate that. Slide it over to the right. Layer, time, time reverse. Move it to here. And now they should both. Oh, wait a minute. Hang on. What do we got here? We got a problem. Okay, first thing I notice, let me get rid of this. First thing I notice is that the YouTube text is not long enough, so I got to fix that. Okay. Now, the other thing I'm noticing is that it's not in the right position. So I need to take this, hit P for position. I'm going to drag this to the right. Like that. Okay, now I think we're good. Now we'll duplicate this. Can't do it that way. Edit. Duplicate. Take the second one. Layer, time, time reverse. Bring it over to here. Take that to that. And now let's see. Do that. And they disappear. Okay. So that looks good. Now, what I'm thinking, as I sit here and look at this, when I put Twitter over here, it's going to end right, but its starting position is going to be way off the screen, potentially. So I'm wondering if it would be better to go down the side. For now, for all intents and purposes, for right now, we can do this. So let's just bring the Twitter down. Again, we're going to hit P for position, S for scale. We're going to make the scale 66. We're going to make the position 960. We're going to go to the rest position. We're going to take this and drag this over to there. We're going to now go in and edit it. We're going to make this text a little bit longer. And then we're going to change the text over here. /financial freedom radio. Same thing as before. We're going to hit P for position. I'm sorry, we're going to hit U to see where the position is to get the keyframes. Going to go to this keyframe. We're going to move it back, tighten it up. I took 37 off this time, so I'm going to go to this keyframe, do 12 minus 37. That tightens that up. Close this. Duplicate the layer. Come to this layer. Time reverse. Put it over here against the edge. Drop it like that. And let's see what we. Yeah, see, they're off. So what I might want to do is I might want to start with the icons. Yeah. Anyway, I'll work this out later to get this dialed in perfectly. For now, what I want to do is I'm just going to go ahead and render this. So I'm going to go to Composition, Add to Render Queue. I'm going to do it. This is where I have to tweak a few things because I'm using an alpha channel. So I need to make sure that the alpha channel is selected. Best resolution, let's see, current best resolution, full resolution. Okay, there's nothing there. This must be where it's at. Yeah, so this is where I need to set it as an AVI. I need to set it as RGB plus alpha. I don't want pre-multiplied. I want straight. And I'm not cropping. I'm not resizing. There's not going to be any audio out. One thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to do AVI because that makes for too big of a file. I'm going to do QuickTime. And I'm going to do, can I do, yeah, I can do QuickTime animation with an alpha channel. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to output it to my desktop for now. And we're going to call it social media.mov. And we're going to let that render. Okay. So that won't take too long to render. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done so you can see what's involved. I know what I need to do to make it perfect. It's a lot of tweaking, and I don't want to bore everybody, and this video is already going long as it is. So, all right, so that's done. So I'm going to close this, and I'm going to save the project as final. Okay, so now that that's done, now we've got to pull that in as an input. So I'm going to do an input, and I'm going to add a video. You can see I've already got a couple of videos here. I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to go back to my desktop, and I've got social media right there. So that's going to pull my social media. If I play it, let's see if there's any more comments. Not sure if I can see that here or not. No, I don't see a way to do that. Oh, that's not good. Do that. Oh, I hate an Android tablet. Let's see, what's that say? I want live comments, but I don't want to watch the stream. No. Okay, anyway. Um, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this video into the main thing, turn off the overlay. So now the video is just me. And what I can do is I can add, remember I said channel number, what did I say, channel number 2? Yeah, channel number 2 is full screen. So if I do this, it comes up. Now, one of the things that vMix recommends, and I'm going to test this to see if it's true because this is running kind of slow. One of the things that they, why is it still there? Should have gone away by now. Okay, there it goes. I don't know why. It's very slow. One of the things they recommended is to create an image sequence instead of a movie. So we're going to try that. So you under Video Tools for vMix. And we're going to do a create image sequence. And we're going to go back to the desktop. And we're going to create this. And the output file, we'll create a new folder called social media. Can you guys hear my wife's television in the background? Very loud. And we're going to call this social media. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that and hit convert. Let me mute this. If I've got to watch it, I'm at least going to mute it. Okay, so there we go. So it's converted. So now I'm going to get rid of this. And I'm going to add a new input. And there's going to be an image sequence. And here what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my desktop. I'm going to find the folder, social media. I'm picking the first image and hit OK. And let that load up. And you can't see anything I just did. I'll do this again. Hang on. All right, so let me close out of this. See, I told you this was raw and unfiltered. So I'm going to create a new input. I'm going to click Add Input. I'm going to do an image sequence. I've already done it once, but I'll do it again and show you. If I go to my desktop social media and I click on the first image of the sequence, it understands that it's an image sequence and I hit OK. Now remember, this should run for 15 seconds. So let's see if it actually is faster now. I'm thinking that maybe loading the video was a little slow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch back to the camera. I'm going to load the social media onto the overlay. And let's see if it runs for 15 seconds. And I need to shave. I think that's longer than 15 seconds. Okay, I can work on the timings, but you get the idea. All right, so I've got the ability now to advertise uh, the uh, the social media platforms that we're on. Let me switch back to this. So the next thing I need to do is I need to get the intro and outro stingers loaded into the system. And what I'm going to do with that, as you saw, or you would have seen if I hadn't screwed up, I have the intro and I have the outro videos. So I'm going to hit the intro video and bring that as an input. And you can see it right there. And there's our intro video. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add another input. And it's going to be the outro. And there's our outro. And it's got this and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's our outro. So we're going to switch back to this now. And the next thing I want to do is I want to have it so that when the video intro is done, let me come back to this, there we go. When the video intro is done, it cuts right to Ray's camera. Now Ray isn't set up yet with a camera, but we're going to pretend that my camera is Ray. So the way I do that is I create an automation. And I go to the intro video, and I go to, is it here? No, it's automations. Where are the automations? General? No. I told you, it's a new piece of software. I got to remember it too. Is it under settings? Activators? Nope. It's tied to this, but I don't remember where it is. Configure. Triggers. There it is. It's a trigger. It's not an automation. It's a trigger. So on completion. On completion of this video, what do I want to do? I want to fade out for 500 milliseconds, which is half a second, and I want to go to what's in the preview window. So that's exactly what I want. So I'm going to set that up. Now I need to make sure that when the video is done, what's in the preview window is my video. So here's we go. Watch this.
From Philadelphia, the home of the Liberty Bell, Financial Freedom Radio starts now. Here's your host, Raymond Jewell.
And there you go. Now it's cut to my video after the intro, and I didn't touch anything to make that happen. So that's going to be the way that we handle the intro. And then what I can do is when it's time to cut to the outro, well, let me show you this so you can see what I'm seeing. When I go to cut to the outro, pretend this video over here on the right is Ray. What I'll do is I'll just cue up the outro here, and I'll do a fade when he's done.
Thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast. If you want to learn how to create real sustainable wealth like the extremely...
I'm not going to sit there and let that run, but you get the idea. But that's the idea, and then that would be the outro. Now what I can do at the end of that is I can go into here and I can create a trigger that says when this is done, we're going to do a fade to black, and we're going to stay there. So let's see, I'm not going to play it because it's a rather long outro, but what that means is when the video is done and the outro is done, it's going to do a fade to black. So that's going to take care of the intro. That's going to take care of the outro. The only thing left to do is set up Ray's camera. Now, what we're going to do with Ray's camera, Ray is in Naples and I'm in Delaware. So obviously he's not going to be sitting here with me. So we've got to have a way set up. So what we're going to do is I'm going to do it on my phone to show you how it works. But Ray's going to call in to me using Skype. And I've got my computer set up so that when he calls into me with Skype, it will come in as a new input. So let me show you how that works. I'm going to call in from my phone. Okay, so there's I'll turn it this way and I'll set it down here. Oh, it says I took a snapshot. I didn't mean to take a snapshot. So there's my Skype feed. And what I can do now is if I come down here and I add an input, because of the way I've got it set up, there's an interface called NDI. And NDI is some acronym, I don't know what it means. But basically what it allows me to do is it allows me to take video feeds from different places. So if you can see right here, Skype is configured to use NDI. So I can take this and pull that as a separate input. So what you're seeing down here in the bottom, this is coming from Skype. So if I put this up in the preview window, this is my Skype feed. And I
I
can
can do this and cut over, and now you're looking at my belly. So let me find a better viewing angle. There.
So now you're looking at what's coming from Skype.
This is where Ray will be coming in. So what I can do now is I can set up this. So it's, the preview window is still set up right. So now what I can do is I can just load Ray into the preview window. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to let the intro play again. And you'll see it'll cut to the Skype camera, which will be Ray. So watch this.
From Philadelphia, the home of the Liberty Bell, Financial Freedom Radio starts now. Here's your host, Raymond Jewell.
And now we're on the Skype camera. Now the audio, I'm not sure what the audio is going to sound like because I'm not hearing. Let me see. Because I've got headphones in and I've got the headphones disabled. Let me see if I can fix that. Hang on. Because I was getting bad echo before, but now since I'm setting up for the real test, let me get this set up. So let me go to headphones. Okay, that didn't exactly work the way I expected it to. I forgot that when I changed the audio, it restarts vMix. So everything I did just got stopped. So now I'm starting a new part two, if you will. Let me make sure it's coming up on Facebook, okay? Yep, part two is now running. So again, apologize for that. But I still hear nothing in my headphones. So all that was for naught. So I'm not sure if you're hearing Ray's audio or not. I'll work out the audio logistics later. For now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute
the audio. If you're hearing anything, it was an echo. So I muted the audio from the Skype. I'll work that out later when we're testing. Ray should be on a bit later to try and work through some of this, but I want to have as much of this set up as possible before he gets here. So the other thing that Ray wants to be able to call on me as the engineer when he wants to have a conversation with me or when he wants information from me. So he wants a picture-in-picture. So if you can envision this being Ray's camera, what he wants is a video of me in a corner somewhere. So what I've done is I've created another overlay, and we'll call it overlay 1, where you can see, and this is what I'm actually using. I'm showing you all this, you can't see it. Here we go. There we go. And you can see over here that shut off? Wonder why. Okay. You can see the red thing. That's what I'm using now when I put my overlay down here over what's going on the screen. But I can very easily do that with Ray too. So if I cut to Ray, you can see the big video here would be Ray, and then this would be me in the corner.
So when he wants to talk to me, he can say, "Hey, Steve, what's going on?" And I can, "Hey, Ray, I'm here. I'm just chiming in and helping out." So this is going to let us have a picture-in-picture. Excuse me.
When he wants to talk to me. So that was the first thing he requested. The other thing he wants is the ability to be able to interview people. So we're going to do that. We're going to need another input. And this is going to be what they call a multi-view. So I'm going to create another where's multi-view? I guess it doesn't really matter. I'll just do this. I'll do one with a transparent background just to get a blank one up there. And then what I do is I edit this and I create a multi-view here. So if I do this, it's going to create a side-by-side view. And what I can do is I can put, let's put Ray in the left and let's put me in the right. And so now the only other thing we got to do is we got to come up with something for the background. So what I can do with that is, let's say I want to take the Liberty Bell. I need another input. And let's do an image. Now let's go to my pictures. And let's go to Financial Freedom Radio. I think I have a picture of the Liberty Bell. Yeah. So here's a Liberty Bell background that I use. And so there's that background. Let's pop it up here. Let's zoom in on this. So I'm going to, no, I don't want that. I want this, and I want the aspect ratio to be widescreen. No, instead of doing that, let's leave it normal, but we'll zoom in. So to do that, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do position, and I'm going to zoom it in. So it takes up the whole background. And again, this is just to show you how it works. So now I have this and I have this. This video is just going to show a black background, but now what I can do is I can create another multi-view, and we'll just do this with another transparent background. And we'll create another multi-view, but in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the Liberty Bell as the background, and I'm going to put this as the foreground. So now, and again, this is just an example. I don't know that I'll actually do this. Now that I look at it, this is kind of crappy. But if I do this and turn off my overlay, now Ray can do an interview. We can have another Skype caller in this window. We can have dial-in callers, whatever he wants to do. But we can set it up like this, and then when he wants to, when he's done with the interview, we simply do this, and it fades back to the full version of Ray. And then when he's done,
extremely rich people do, or maybe you just want to sustain the wealth you already have. Thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe to the podcast. If you want to learn how to create real sustainable wealth like the...
So I'm going to flip back to this. I'm going to put my audio back up. So this is basically the production of a podcast and all the different elements that go into it. You can see down here at the bottom, I'm recording it. Since this is part 2, since it broke up, I have part 1 and part 2. So when I put this on YouTube, it's going to have to be, I'm going to have to go into Premiere and splice it together. I'm also streaming it out to Facebook. There is the ability to include live comments, which I'll worry about later. Since we don't have a big following right now, this is all brand new and new stuff that we're playing with. So I'm not going to worry about that right yet. But I will take this opportunity to remind everyone of our social media platforms. You saw me create this. We're Financial Freedom Radio on all 3 platforms. Facebook.com Financial Freedom Radio, YouTube.com Financial Freedom Radio, Twitter.com Financial Freedom Radio. So check us out on social media, and we will probably do another one of these when Ray comes on later today, testing audio levels and testing, making sure I have no idea what the audio sounds like because I'm getting nothing in my headphones and I need to figure out why. But it'll be an interesting test to make sure all the audio is sounding good. Ideally, what I need to hear is I need to hear all the audio except for my microphone in my headphones, and I'm not hearing anything right now, so I've got to make sure that we're actually getting audio, or this could have been for naught. And then when Ray dials in, he needs to hear everything but his microphone. So those are the kinds of things that I need to be able to work out and figure out. I'll give you a little quick, let me switch over to this.
Turn off my overlay.
I'll give you a little quick
tour of the studio for what it is. I'm doing everything from Republic of Gamers Asus laptop. It's several years old, so it doesn't need a lot of horsepower. I have my Stream Deck over here. I'm going to use this to set up different functions. So when we call for a sound effect, so I don't have to sit here and keep clicking on all of these different icons here. I can just hit buttons over here. For example, I have two key lights, one there and one there. I can turn them on and off by simply pushing a button right here. So if I hit this button, the lights come on. I've got my audio mixer over there. Right now, there's only one audio input, and that is very hard to control this camera. That is the one from my microphone, which you see right here on the rocker arm. Pay no attention to the dog toys that are up here. There's a history behind that, which we won't get into. And then that's pretty much it. So that's kind of a very bare bones, raw, unfiltered, behind the scenes look. Let me flip over to the main camera
of what it takes to put together a podcast in a professional production style studio. Not that I'm claiming to be a professional or anything. I used to be, but I don't know that I still am. But it's going to be fun. It's going to be an experiment, and it's going to be interesting to see if this takes off and if this gets a following. Anyway, that's all I wanted to do for now. Thanks a lot. If you do watch this, leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. Do you like the behind the scenes? I was talking to Ray today, and I told him, I said, a lot of people like that voyeur, fly on the wall type of thing. So many times with these high quality production podcasts, they don't really show you, they don't pull back the fourth wall and let you see what's going on behind the scenes. And I think some people are actually kind of interested in the technology behind it. Some don't care, but I know I do. So it'll be interesting to see if this is well received or not. Anyway, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and end the stream now. If we're back on later, make sure you're following us on Facebook so you get the notification that we're live. Like the group, or excuse me, like the page. It's not a group, it's a page. And you'll get a notification when we go live, and hopefully Ray will be willing to go live so we can figure out some of the audio logistics. Thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for watching. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.